Recording is on.
Okay, so I was saying the difference
Thank you. I can
between
now see that recording is on.
all right, the difference between traditional AI and agentic AI. These are part of the things we discussed last week, and we made mention of traditional AI being just like your calculator, and when you give a task, the AI responds, while agentic AI takes the form of a human being, thinks for you, reasons for you, and performs the act, performs the task. Agentic AI is more of proactive, while traditional AI is reactive. Now, for workflow, I also mentioned that the structure of a workflow must have a trigger and an action. So the trigger is what starts up. It's what it's just like when you want to drive your car, you must have to start the ignition of your car. So that is the trigger. Whenever you hear trigger, is what brings into life an action from somewhere else. So an action in workflow automation simply means the task, the sequence of the task, step by steps, how a task is being performed until you get the result. So every workflow must have a trigger and an action. One trigger at a time. You must have one trigger at a time, but you can have multiple actions at the same workflow. And we talked about different tools in workflow automation. We talked about the n8n, the Zapier, the Make, Microsoft Power Automate. We talked about the Google's App Script and a whole lot, depending on what you want to achieve with your automation. There are a lot of CRM tools that offer automation, like HubSpot is a CRM tool that offers automation. Last week we worked on Airtable, and we saw that Airtable also has its own automation as well. Then we moved to automation and AI agents, and we listed the tools. Again, we went to do a simple workflow last week that creates a form on an Airtable. People use the form to generate their information, which appears on the Airtable base. We actually created, we showed how to create an account with Airtable, and finally we set up an automation workflow on Airtable that transfers the data which we have on the Airtable form or Airtable base to a Google Sheet. So this is what we did last week, and this week we are going to start today with um, n8n. n8n simply is an advanced open source automation tool. It's an open source because you can actually self-host your n8n workflows. However, you can also use the n8n.io cloud platform to set up your automation workflows. And n8n is very, very adaptable because it has a lot of integrations. A lot of integrations you can even think of in this world can work with n8n. So that is why out of all the tools available, I decided that I want us to talk about n8n. What we are doing today is an introduction. So we are going to be introducing n8n to you, believing that probably you may have heard it before, you may not have had the opportunity to get your hands dirty with creating a workflow on n8n. So we are going to demystify whatever the mystery you've been hearing about workflows and setting up workflows with n8n. So for you to work with n8n, first of all, you need to sign up. You need to sign up. Like I mentioned earlier, that there are two ways you can use n8n. Either you self-host, you download the application, then host it on your local server, on your laptop, or you can host it also on your virtual machine if you have access to a Google or AWS platform. So If you are doing self-hosting, you're not paying for the services. But if you want to host it on n8n cloud, you are going to be paying subscription for it. However, for every new sign up, you have 14 days free access to n8n environment, the cloud. So whatever account we will be creating today is valid for 14 days. So after that 14 days, they are going to close down your workspace except you upgrade and pay for the services, the cloud services. However, if you have your virtual machine or you want to host it locally on your machine, you can actually do that without making any payment. So that is about signing up. Then when you sign up, you're going to create your either you create a new workspace or you create a project you can work on. Then you set up your workflow. Then for every workflow, remember I said you must have a trigger and an action or event. So we're going to go into practical first of all, so that we will be able to see all these things I've been mentioning about n8n. So for the n8n hosting, just go to your address space on your browser and type n8n.io. Please, I want you to be doing it, and once you do it, you can screenshot and drop your screenshot so that we know you're following me. n8n.io. That is where you can have access to it. Can you kindly just go to your browsers and type www.n8n.io? Let me share it on the text box so that you can follow the link.
I actually don't know if it is just on my end, but you are breaking, Mr. Val.
Can you hear me, Aisha?
I can hear you now.
Okay, maybe because of the video and the sharing. So please, if you have gotten to the page, kindly share your screen or screenshot so that we know that we are on the same page, please. So can I proceed, guys? Let me know if I can proceed if you're here. If you're on the website, can I proceed? Probably you can give a thumbs up if you want me to proceed, please. Yeah, you can give me a thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Salvador. Thank you. So once you're here, the next thing, if this is your first time, you click on get started for free. Either of these two red colored buttons. But if you have signed up earlier, you can actually click on sign in and use your email address to sign in. Now, you might want to check out all other things available on n8n. And most importantly, you can actually browse through the documentations. This is documentation for self-hosting. When I mentioned it earlier, this is the general documentation. So you can actually use the documentation whenever you want to refer to something or you're not sure or you get confused. Always refer to the documentation. It is very important. It's going to guide you. The last here is the communities. These are their communities. You can actually join the communities so that you can learn more from the communities. Then this is the pricing if you want. You can actually click on the pricing. You see different prices, different subscription prices and their packages. But this is not what we want to do today. We want to set up and sign up a new account. So you click on get started. So when you click on get started, you put your email address. You put your email address here. And once you put you put your email address, you click on submit. Now I have used these email addresses. Um, Aisha, can you drop your email address on the chat box so that I can use your email address to create a new account? All right, thank you. So what I would love you to do is to check your email. You're going to get a notification code for you to for us to go ahead. So once you type your email address here, you click on submit. Now, once you click on submit, go to your email. There is a code that is sent for you to create an account. So Aisha, please check for the code and drop it for me on the chat box. So guys, I hope you're following me. You can as well do that. Go to, once you have entered your email address, you click on submit, check your email. You're going to see a code that was sent to you from n8n, so that we are using the code to create and launch a new account. I have an account I've created already, so I just want to show you how you can create your new account as well. Okay, still loading. We're waiting for you, Aisha. Check if the code is there. All right, I've got the code. So once you get the code, you enter your code here and you click on submit. Now, when you click on submit, you put your name, your first name, or your full name, I mean. Let me choose Aisha. Aisha, sorry, I'm going to use your full name. Then password. Let me choose one password here. Then this account name is your username on n8n. As you can see, whatever we choose, it will show the name .app.n8n.cloud, because we are signing up on n8n cloud. But if you're self-hosting, you might not need all of this. So I will use Aisha as the username. You can actually tick the box here for if you want to receive newsletters. Then you check this to confirm that you're a human being and not a robot. Then you click on start free 14-day trial. Okay, it's telling us that Aisha has already been used. Let me put something else. Aisha. So this this is true. So you're waiting for it to prop up, and this is what we have. It's trying to find out some information about you, about your organization. So you can say, I'm not using it for work. Which of these do you feel comfortable? Let me just choose one. How do you hear about us? Let's say word of mouth. Submit. So do you want to invite a team member? No, you skip. Now it has finally prepared your workspace. You click on start automating. Now we are here. Welcome, Aisha. How many of you have gotten to the landing page, your overview page? How many of you, please? If you have, can you show your thumbs up? If you have, you can also screenshot. If you're on our Discord channel or on our Telegram channel, please, you can drop your screenshots on those platforms. You can drop your screenshots. I want to know how many of you that have finished your sign up. How many of you? Okay, Salvador is on it. Please, this I said earlier is going to be participatory. Dio, thank you. I want it to be participatory. I just don't want to run on my own pace while you guys are just watching and listening. Yeah. Hills, please go ahead. Ask your question.
Thank you. So I actually did my setup during the week, but I get stuck at a point where it asks me to um, to sign in. When I sign in, it says it will send me a magic link via email. That magic link never comes. So I've never been to this place where you are now.
All right. Do you have an alternative email?
Yes, I do.
So what we can do now, can you use you see that what I showed was very simple. So please, if you can use an alternative email and try it again, because if I have to debug the reason why that your previous account is not fully functional, it might take us a lot of time. So just try to use a new email and see if it will go through, please.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Then if you have any challenges, you can share your screen, then we'll walk around it together. So I hope we are all on the home page of your account. Everybody, show your reactions. Let's know. Let's know you're here. So while here, you have a couple of templates. These are already built workflows. Now, if you have an account already, if you have created an account, you have access to a lot of. That's why I even encourage you to belong to these communities if you want. You will have access to a lot of workflows that people have created already. So you might not want to reinvent the wheel if it is already existing. But what is important is knowing the basics. If you know the basics, you can actually copy what others have done in the past. But if you don't know the basics, you might, even if you copy, you might not be able to efficiently execute it. So when you know the basics, you might just come here and select a template. When you click on see more templates, you can search, look at 77,868 workflow automations for free. That is why I said n8n is basically one of the most versatile workflow tools you can ever come across. Presently, is one of the best for me because of the number of integrations, number of workflow automations in the community. So we are not going to use anybody's um, template. We are going to start from the scratch. So we click on start from scratch. So when you click on start from scratch, this is where you will land. This is your workspace. This is your editor for your workflow. In this editor, you can have as many, as long as any kind of workflow you want. If you want 100 steps of workflows, you can actually add them, you can build it here. If you want a workflow that can grow like a tree, just type on your Google search workflow automation template. You will see a lot of things people have done in the past, highly complicated. And one good thing again is that n8n also has agentic um, integrations. It has agentic integrations that will help you to make use of agents. If you can't see Start from the scratch. As long as you're on that page, scroll down, scroll down. It should be the view of your system, your system view. So please scroll to the lowest bottom of your screen. You will see start from the scratch. If not, you can equally share your screen so that we can see where you are and see how we can help you. Like I said, we are not in a hurry. I want you to be participatory. I want you to follow. As I'm going, you're going to be doing it the same time with me. So I don't want to rush and show you everything while you get confused, because this is pure practical hands-on experience. So please take your time. I want to be sure that you have gotten to where I am right now. Everybody, confirm if you are on your editor space before we continue. You can type it on the message box, please. Let's know we're on the same page before we continue. And can we be quick about it so that we don't waste our time? John, thank you. I can see that you're already on the editor page. Well done, well done. Well done, John. Who else? I need at least three more people before we can continue. Vivian, thank you. Well done, well done. One more person before we can continue. Salvador, thank you. So I can proceed. Now, while here, first of all, I want to show you the features on this page before we can continue with our workflow. The first thing you see here is to add first step. Like I said, every workflow starts with a trigger. So this is your trigger box. This is your trigger box. Is either you start here or you use AI to build. But for the sake of this class, we don't want to use AI. When you learn and you want to add speed to what you're doing, you can actually select build with AI. Just write a prompt and tell the AI, this is what I want to do. Remember, we are talking about automation workflows, and you can see that even within automation workflows, the agentic feature is already existing. So if you are not learning AI today, if you're not learning agentic AI today, you are very, very not in this current dispensation. You are going to have it very difficult to navigate around some other things. You are going to find it very difficult to be part of the modern society of today. So please, you are in the right place and at the right time. If you get the basic knowledge today, you can build on it. If you have opportunity tomorrow to expand your knowledge, please get to know about automations, about AI automations. It makes life very easy. It makes life very, very easy, and it helps you to do your work, execute your job very fast. So the first thing is here, if you click on this plus button, you can see workflow. You can actually create your personal workflow. The next tab is credentials. You can add credentials from other. We will still need credentials in the future from your integration with um, other applications. You're going to meet credentials. Now, project, you can actually create a new project. So all this button helps you to create either new workflow, new credential, or new project, right? So the next thing is search. This is for you to search for any node or workflow you have within your workspace. This is to expand. This is a chart. This is your admin panel. If you want to go to admin panel, resources, insight, settings. So this is what you find on the left navigation panel. You can collapse it, you can expand it. Now, here you have my personal, first is the name of your workflow. When you click inside there, you can change your workflow name. What we have here is my workflow. Just like when you want to save a document in your Google Sheet or your Google Doc. Just click inside and rename it. Instead of my workflow, I can say first first workflow or one dev workflow. This might not be the name, but I just want us to use this for now, for you to know that you can actually rename your workflow. This is where you rename. Then you can add the tag if you want. This is the editor, the executions you have done. So this environment we are right now is highlighted, which is the editor. The execution, whenever you click on execute workflow, it counts, it shows here the number of executions you've done. But since we have not done any execution, that is why it is still blank. Then the evaluations as well. This shows your connections and your evaluations on the workflow. Now, there's a button here. When you finish writing your workflow, editing your workflow, you can click on publish. Once you click on publish, it goes live. It becomes active, right? So this is what the button does for you. Then this is the history of the workflows. If we have executed workflows probably a couple of times, you will see the history of the different workflows. You can revert, you can delete, you can adjust. Now, these three buttons here is very, very important. Once you click on these three buttons, it has a drop down. The first is to edit description. Kindly mute your microphone because it's distracting us. Thank you. Thank you for.
Please, Christopher, can you mute? Thank you. Christopher, thank you.
So the next action here is duplicate. If you want to duplicate your workflow, if you want to download your workflow. Now, this download simply converts whatever workflow you have into a JSON file. For those who know JSON, JSON is a type of a file format that mostly works for developers. So just like your .yaml file, you also have .json file. The same way you have .excel, ex, ml, and all of that, .pdf. So whatever you're downloading from n8n comes as a JSON file. Now, why are you downloading it? Remember I said you have 14 days on this free account. If you actually created any workflow and you don't want to lose your workflow, you have to download it on your local disk so that even when your account is expired, you still have access to your workflow. But if you don't download it, you will never have access after 14 days. Except you upgrade. This is for training purposes. But if you are working in an organization that has facility to be a premium subscriber, you can actually upgrade your account to premium subscriber. But if you are still doing the learning process, kindly always remember to download your workflows so that you have access to it. Even in the future, you can refer to them, because if you don't do so after 14 days, you will never have access to your workflows anymore. Now, another button here is share. If you want to share with someone else, you can change ownership, you can rename, just like what we renamed here. You can also rename. Now, you have two import buttons. One is import URL. If you click on this, you're going to provide a URL that has a workflow already. You can actually import it here, or you can import from your local drive. If you click here, you see lots and lots of n8n.json files that I have downloaded earlier in my system. So you can actually upload one of these. Let me just show you. Once you click it, you see the whole workflow that I had already designed. It comes back. The only thing you need to do is to connect the authentications. So This is what it does for you. Yeah. The next is settings. That's to do adjustment for your workflows. Then archive is just like you want to delete the workflow. So this is what this does for you. These buttons here are the same thing with what is on the left. Now, there are some buttons under here that are very important. Assuming your workflow is growing and growing and growing and growing, you can see that the page has disappeared. If you want to view everything once, you click here. It will congest all your workflow into a viewing window so that you can see them all in one, no matter the length of the workflow. Now, this is zooming. If you want to increase the zooming of your workflows, if you want to zoom out, use the next button. This is to reset. If you want to reset the zoom to the normal window view. Now, this is tidy up. This tidy up button is peradventure your workflow is growing so disorganized. It's no longer straight on a straight line or properly arranged. You can use this to arrange. Once you click it, all of them will reset on a good shape and good alignment. So let me change back to one dev workflows. So now the first thing, who can remind me the first thing I said we are supposed to do for every workflow, because we want to start writing our workflow right now. Who can tell me what's the first thing in workflow automation? What's the first thing we should do? Which button are you clicking? Salvador, you're asking me which. Can you be specific? I don't know which of the buttons you are referring to. You can use the microphone, please. Yeah, Hales, go ahead.
Oh, I think it was the three buttons at the top you were pressing.
Oh,
You
okay,
probably missed it. The three
okay,
dots there
okay.
at the top.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. I just saw it now. So this is the three dots. This is where I saw all those commands. These three dots. Once you click it, it has a drop down. So who can tell me what's the first thing that we should do if you want to set up to start our workflow automation? You can write the answer on the text box, the chat box, please. What is the first thing? I said a workflow automation has two most important structure. What and what? Name of the workflow. Yes, name of the workflow, but that's not it. No, not workspace and base. There are two key important things. Two key important things in every workflow, no matter the automation tool you're using. I mentioned it earlier today. I mentioned it when I was talking about workflow structure. God bless you. Trigger, trigger. So every workflow must start with a trigger. Every workflow, be it n8n, be it Airtable, be it Zapier, Make, anywhere you hear about workflow, there must be a trigger. That trigger is what we have on this button. This is the first thing. So now if you click on add the first step, where you see add the first step, it's telling you to add your trigger. And now what do you have when you click it? You see that there is a cascading window that appeared from the right. So it asks you what triggers this workflow. So you must choose a trigger. There must be a trigger. That is the first step in creating your workflow. You must have a trigger. Now, these triggers will differ depending on the workflow automation tool you're using. If you come to n8n, this is what they have. If you go to Make, they have a different arrangement. If you come to Zapier, it has a different, but it must be something to trigger. They might not have the same trigger, but there must be a trigger button or something to trigger your workflow. Now, the first is trigger manually. What if you select this? That means you must have to click your workflow for it to activate, for it to start, just like starting your car. So once you select this, you can see there is a mouse button there. You must click it before. Let me just show you. This is it. You must click it. When clicking, execute workflow. So you must click on this before the workflow can commence. So this becomes your trigger. This is how you want to trigger your workflow, right? I hope you're following. Now let's check for another one. This is on event, on app event. Now, if you are running an application on a different platform and you want that application to trigger your workflow, you can come here and select this. You see, on app event runs the flow when something happens in an app like a Telegram, like Notion, like Airtable. So if your workflow depends on an external app application, you can click on this event. Then you select which of the events, which of the applications you want your trigger to come from, right? This is why I love n8n. You can see a lot of options, Grafana, for those who are DevOps engineers that want to monitor their deployments. You can actually connect your n8n workflow to trigger with Grafana. Once a port is being optimized or utilized to 80%, it should trigger a response. So this is what it is about. You can actually connect any of the events from your applications. So another one is on schedule. This is also very important. On schedule simply means you need to set the days, the time, the interval. If you want it on seconds, if you want the trigger, this workflow to start, it's just like your cron job. For those who know what, yes, this is custom cron. So you can set that at this particular time, this event should trigger. At this particular day or hour, this event should trigger. So you can schedule your event to start triggering from a particular time. So I will still go through all of them one after another before we can start our workflow, because if you understand the basics, it will help you to take off very, very well. The next one is on webhook call. So this simply calls a webhook from another um, application running on the web using your webhook URLs. So you must submit, assuming, let's take for instance, you have a website that you're building and you want to get information from that website. You have to supply the URL, the webhook URL, to that API router to be able to push information, so that whenever information comes on that router, the API, it triggers your event on n8n. So this is what happens. I'll take them one after another before we can start building our workflow. The next one is on form. This is if you want to generate a form on n8n. So you can create the form here. After creating the form, you send the link. This is the link. The person will open a form, fill the form, and once that form is submitted, it triggers the n8n action. It triggers the action. So the next one is when executed by another workflow. So you can have two workflows on the same editor. So when you execute this workflow, the second one should commence. Another one is on chat message. if you have an AI node, artificial intelligence, agentic AI node, that you want the chat to trigger an event. Now, when running evaluations, this is another option. If you check, I showed you the evaluation set. When you're running an evaluation, it can trigger an event for you. So these are several trigger methods you have on n8n. Several trigger methods. You must start with one. So let's start with manual trigger. So which means whenever we click on this, the workflow should start. Whenever we click on this, the workflow should start. So this is our trigger. Once you set your trigger, the next thing is to set your action. Remember I said first is trigger followed by action before you get your result for every workflow structure. Now, in n8n, each of these plus is used to add what we call a node. A node simply means an action environment for n8n to execute. So you will hear different nodes on n8n. You have JavaScript node, you have Google Form node, Google Sheet node. So any step, any action you're adding is simply a node. Any action you're adding is simply a node. In Zapier and Make, it is called a module. But in n8n, it is a node. So this is a trigger node, if you want to name this. And this trigger node, you can actually rename it as well. You can click on here and say rename. Instead of when clicking, you can just change it to trigger node. Trigger node and say rename. You see, it changes to trigger node. If you want to delete it, this is the delete button. If you want to make it inactive, you use this button. And if you want to execute any node, you click on this play button. So all the nodes we will be adding subsequently has these three buttons.